Ace, there's a quote on your IMDb page,
Mm-hmm.
and it says, "I'll never be satisfied by the thought of being someone with, quote, a lot of potential."
Yeah.
And we probably all know very talented people in this town and that we grew up with that had a lot of potential.
Right,
Maybe
right.
nothing ever came of it. And it doesn't seem like you leave things to chance. You seem very proactive to me, just in the short time I've met you. So is this part of your secret to being someone that just won't leave things simply to chance? You really attack an opportunity when you see it?
Yeah, you know, I mean, thanks for mentioning that. You know, it's always kind of good to just be reminded of, you know, of something like that. Yeah, that word potential always just, it's sort of scary to me, you know, and I can't remember when it was that I sort of made that connection, but, you know, I think that idea of just being at the best, someone with a lot of potential, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, if I died tomorrow and somebody said, well, he had a lot of potential, I mean, that would break my heart, you know what I mean, or hear that about anybody. So, yeah, you know, there's so much that I can't control, we can't control, you know, there's so much out of our control, so I like to be able to be proactive and take more, I guess just more control over what I can do, you know, for myself and for a product. So that's always in the back of my head of, you know, what I can be doing to sort of further that. And I think I've met, like you said, a lot of people, and I mean, even personally, like, one of the things that always drives me, you know, in doing this, and I always tell people, I'm like, you know, if I woke up one day and for some weird reason I was like, I'm drawn to, I mean, I don't even know, you know, like painting street signs or something, you know, if that's what it was that I felt I would be happy with doing, then that's what I'm gonna do, you know, and I know nothing else aside from being in entertainment that you know, that just inspires me and is like, that's what I want to do when I grow up, that mentality, you know, and like, you know, seeing members of my family, and even as close to like myself as my dad, who, you know, my dad was just somebody who it was so simple, he wanted to be he would have loved to just be a gym teacher. He's a former athlete, and you know, was a great athlete, you know, had all these opportunities for colleges and stuff like that, and you know, I remember growing up and he was like, oh, I'd love to just be a gym teacher, be able to you know, teach and coach kids in sports and all that type of stuff. And my dad was a crane operator, and he managed, you know, a big team and stuff. And I just always remember thinking as a kid that, you know, I never want to do something, you know, for work that I didn't look forward to, you know. And he did that because he had to provide for us and, you know, for our family, and he did that without, you know, worry or complaint. And so that's just something that always spoke to me, you know, and I saw their family members doing, you know, the same, you know, in their own way, like just doing what they had to do, you know, not necessarily what they wanted to do. And I think that's one of the things where I'm lucky that my parents push and encouraged me so much to do what I wanted to do. So, you know, that potential sort of ties into that, you know, like my dad had potential to do these other things that he wanted to do, but sort of in a way that was, you know, the best thing that he had was being a good father to us, you know, and a good provider to us. So yeah, I always that's a big message that I always kind of try to remind myself of, and I just like to share with people, and even with people that I work with, you know, like we always talk about that with just our product. It's like our film, like I don't want the script to be, this film had a lot of potential, you know, like we have to do what we can to make it go beyond that, you know, and rise above that. So I do try to bring that to, you know, to whatever I'm working on or whoever I'm working with.
What do you think that is in someone that sits on potential? Let's say that they don't have children to raise, they're living a free life, maybe they're even debt-free, so they really don't have a lot of responsibility, and they're extremely talented, and they just sit on it. I mean, I've seen so many people that I've known, and it breaks my heart because I wish I had what they had, but you know, and then you see them find all these excuses and they don't do anything with it.
You know, it's tough. Like I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say at some point, you know, I don't actively pursue something every minute, every second of my life. I mean, I'm lazy as much as anybody can be. I'm a human being, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I think everybody's different, you know, it depends. Like you know, people talk to me all the time. I'm from the East Coast, you know, and they're like, what do you think about New York? Would you ever move back? And my answer is always like, I would love to move back, and one day I plan to, but I would never do it at this stage of where I'm at in my life and career. Because A, I think there's just more opportunity for me here as a career, you know, in Los Angeles, and B, like, I would just want to be more comfortable living in New York, and you know, because New York's a tough city, and it has different challenges, and there's pros and cons to both LA and New York. You know, I don't think they're apples and oranges. You can't compare them. But for me, it's like I wouldn't want to grind it out back in New York again. You know, like I do like that. You know, I can walk outside in 60 degrees. You know, but that also provides a setting where it's easy to sort of be laid back, as we all know. You know, in Los Angeles. And it's interesting. I just took a class. It was a commercial class. And the teacher, he was sort of giving us examples of the message was just using every opportunity as you know, a launching pad, just the best that you can make of it, you know. And he would always talk about Meryl Streep, and he's just like, you know, Meryl Streep can do 3 lines on any TV show or a commercial or a lead in a film or reading the phone book, and we all expect Meryl Streep, you know, she's somebody that you can't say she's gonna phone it in. You know, she's gonna give it. You know what I mean? And that his point, it was just like, you guys have to give it for everything, whether it's a commercial, whether it's this, whether it's that. And he was saying, you know, because then you'll get to a point where, you know, maybe you're in your mid-30s or whatever it is, whatever age, and you want to have a family and you want to start doing things, and you need a real person job because you need to supply, you know, or provide for those things. And that's where sometimes we know, like, people who start to just leave the business or to step away from it in ways, you know, and that kind of hit me, and I was like, wow, you know, that's really true. But furthermore, like he was saying, you know, there are people who will come to the city or live in this city who come from money, so that's not a concern for them, you know. They don't have to push past, you know, working at a Starbucks, McDonald's, whatever it is, you know, not to judge, but just, you know, a harder, you know, straight job, you know. They don't have to worry about it, you know, so they can go out there and sort of recklessly, you know, go on their auditions or just go through whatever it is that they're doing. And in a weird way, his message was, you know, we have to bring that too, you know, like that sense of not being attached to it, because they don't have to be attached to it, because at the end of the day, their bills are paid for. You know what I mean? Whereas I'll go in, or somebody else will go in, and we're like, man, we really need this job, or we want this job to be able to pay bills, or whatever it is, you know, whatever the person's situation is. And, you know, just relating those two things. So I think it's different for everybody, because I think, you know, if somebody doesn't have to worry about paying bills, then they can go out there and sort of be reckless. And sometimes those are the best auditions, you know, because you don't care, you know. Now, would they have the drive to keep going and continuing along? I don't know, you know, because that's also something that someone that is hungry, you know, will have, you know, because they don't want to be stuck, you know, waiting tables all their career here in LA. So I don't know. I don't think there's really a specific answer for that, but there are different scenarios that we're just placed in, you know, out of our control, that we just kind of have to, I guess, learn how to navigate. And I think there's always going to be a challenge for everybody. I don't think anybody's necessarily gifted into one way or not. You know, even I know people give the show Girls, you know, flack because they sort of come from families who are established in their own ways. And like, well, yeah, but their parents are these people or whatever. But still, that's a hurdle for them to overcome in a way. And I'm sure there are people out there, like the critics, that are giving them a hard time, that they, you know, that becomes a challenge for them to sort of win people over in their own way. So I don't think it's fair to sort of judge anybody's, you know, specific journey, I guess.